got to be able to zoom in and out, big picture, and then zoom in to be like, so this is the issue, pinpoint the issue, zoom back out, who are the players involved. You can take a bunch of misfits and put the greatest leader in charge, and those guys will rally together. Getting to the finish line or solving a puzzle, and you could just be like, yeah, look what I did.
So you got that competitive edge, but you don't necessarily need to compete against another person. You can compete against yourself or against the field.
It's a good challenge.
It's a challenge.
There's got to be challenges. If
like
everything was just streaming merrily down a stream, it gets so boring.
Where's the juice in that? Yeah. All right, Ben. So client management, account management, it's the hybrid between sales and operations. Like the job's been awarded, actively working on it, but something happens. Like, so we're in Chicago right now. We met with Chipotle. We're doing the remodel. It was, I don't know, less than ideal circumstance. And we adjust, right? So we talked with the client about, like, so the crew, so we had the original scope of work.
Yeah.
To remove the sign, do a lot of stuff. The scope at some point got changed, but the crew executed on the original plan, which was to remove the Chipotle sign. And then we met with the client today. What's your take on that? Like account management, client management.
Well, I think the target is kind of always moving, and the tactic or skill that's required is to keep your eye on the target, but keeping in mind that you're going to constantly, like, it doesn't stop, but there's a consistent and constant navigation of keeping your eye on the target. Because in construction, you only know what you're shown or what you can see. So in some circumstances, you're given a set of plans on an existing structure, and most architects give you some good detail, but you're estimating off of sheets of paper. And so there's a little bit of a gray area where if you're not able to actually get eyes on scene or on site, so that you have that opportunity to put paper plans and eyes on site and overlap them and see some sort of discrepancy before project starts, that would be a golden case scenario, but that's never the case. Sometimes it's the case, but it's almost never the case. So knowing that the target's kind of always shifting a little bit, but you got to keep your eyes on the target because...
But what is that target? What's that objective?
Client expectations. Like, their expectations are what you see on the plans. Like, because they see the plans, you see the plans.
Yes.
So the expectations are, you see what they see, so you kind of understand the expectations. But you get on site and it's like, this is not what, the plans did not include this.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
There's that new
a half-inch lip on all the window details or whatever.
Yep.
So you got to be able to morph and move, and if you are given the opportunity to meet the client on site mid-project and you identify these things with them, that's kind of when the target moves a little bit. And you're like, this wasn't called out, we didn't see this, we didn't know this, but this is our plan moving forward. I guess the execution is to always be thinking solution forward.
Yeah.
Because the problems are always going to come. There's always going to be hurdles, and you can't just be like, well, here's the hurdle, what do we do to the client? It's here's the hurdle, here's our options.
Yeah.
And then you present your options. With your best recommendation, here's option 1, 2, and 3. I suggest option 1, but here's 2 and 3, and here's why we have 2 and 3 in case this is what you'd rather do or decide.
So it's client focused. At the end of the day, it goes back to communication. That's why it's like, I look at account management, it's that hybrid between sales and operations. Like operations needs to go back to the client. Like, we're executing on what the client wants. As we face wrinkles in the field,
there's always wrinkles.
We have to go back to the client because that's the ultimate objective.
The GC or the ones doing the labor are kind of the iron, and we need to smooth out the wrinkles. Yeah. There's always wrinkles.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to make it smooth.
Yeah.
We got to make it smooth.
Yeah.
And sometimes the client doesn't always know, like they're not clear on their expectations and they need a little guidance too sometimes.
Yeah.
We're happy to give that, because we've been there, we've done it. It's like, hey, listen, we've seen this before and this is usually how this plays out. Do you want us to go route A or route B?
Which I think is effective is to guide, but not dictate. Like I've seen that where, whoever's fulfilling on the vision, they get so set on their objective that like they try to dictate to the client. And I've also seen the other extreme where it's like people just look at the client and say, what do you want to do? And it's like, well, that's not helpful. Like you have to go to the client with a handful of suggestions, say, this is my recommendation. We'd like to do this. Does this work for you?
Yeah. It's great to have an A, B, and C to present.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not just stop with A, B, and C. Here's why I think A, here's why we think B, and here's why we think C.
Sure. And that's a universal principle, because that can go up and down, left and right. Like, that's a conversation with the client. That's also a conversation internally. If we have a project manager on a different job, if we have a facilities manager who's dealing with the client, like, it could be a $300 plumbing ticket. It's the same principle. It's like, okay, we think we want to replace this gasket. The client, do you sign off on that? Like, we want to replace the valve? Like, this is the solution that we recommend. Do you confirm? So, like, it should go in all directions. It's the universal process of identify the problem, propose solution, get confirmation.
Correct. All of the above.
And I think it goes to, like, when you're recruiting, looking for good people, it's, can people think that way?
That's the difficult thing, is when you're talking about hiring people on your team, well, how do you identify that they have that capability, if you will? And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's a learned thing where they have to have been exposed to that sort of ambiguity. It's hard to take someone fresh out of college, who's never repaired tile or something, and then just stick them in the situation, and then they're going to come back to you with 100 questions like, well, what about this? Like, why this? Why did this happen? What are we doing here?
Well, so many people want to work within a box. They want you to give them the box and say, here's the box, here's what I do. Like, if X happens, then Y happens, and like they want to have specific instructions, but it's like, at the end of the day, what's the value added there? Like, you need people who can think and iterate and say, okay, yeah, I have the basic framework of what I'm doing, but can you think along the lines of problem, solution, A, B, and C?
It kind of comes down to having the psychological or mental ability to put yourself in other people's shoes.
Sure.
Whether who that person is, whether it's the technician on site, or it's the client, or it's the store teams at the store, whatever you're fixing something at, convenience store or retail store. You got to understand, put yourself in their shoes. What is the inconvenience? What's the best way to give them a solution or a resolution? Time is usually part of it. Like, how timely can we fix this for them? Is this timely? Meaning is going to be temporary, but the quickest. So is there something to follow it, a more permanent? But let's get them set up and ready to go so that they can continue selling whatever they need to, or operating their store as they need to, and then schedule something and make the customer aware that, hey, a more permanent situation or solution needs to be done, and here is that solution.
Yeah.
Let's have the discussion on how to carry the permanent solution out.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Right, the ability to see the different perspectives. Because I always preach to the guys, like, there's always at least two customers.
Yeah.
There's the store manager, like you're on their site, you're in their house, like that's where they live, they work. They're there 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
That's their store.
Yeah,
that's their baby.
They live there.
Yeah.
Then there's also the corporate person, the decision maker, the budget approver, like that's also equally important, like decision maker in this process. Like, we need to make both of those people, we essentially have to balance those two hopefully they're not in conflict. They often are. If they are in conflict, what's the balance point? Like, and then how can we correctly navigate that path? Because, like the store manager, they might want some beautiful exotic, that's their house, like that's where they live. Like, they might have something extravagant.
Yeah, a lot of times their perspectives are different.
Yeah.
Their expectations are different.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to find the middle ground.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a little bit of convincing. I mean, the one who's approving the proposals obviously has the upper hand in that deal. And a lot of times the store team doesn't get what they want, but usually because the actual decision makers got to be more conscientious of their budget, and one store might not be allotted the allowance, if you will, to make that store the Taj Mahal versus another store that's on Fifth Avenue in New York that's outperforming.
Yeah.
They're going to get a little more attention, but
yeah. I mean, sometimes it's finding the balance. Sometimes it's convincing the store manager that corporate's not going to approve it. Sometimes it's convincing corporate to approve what the store manager wants, like that, because it's important, and here's why. And it's always tricky. But at the end of the day, it's being able to see, like you said, all the different perspectives and know what's the ideal way of navigating it. But we were talking yesterday about what I'm always curious about is the humans, the individuals. Like, you always have a positive perspective. Where's your drive come from? What's that go in?
what's my go?
Yeah.
My personal go?
Yeah. So a short par four. Like, what says?
Yeah, a drivable par four.
Yeah.
No, I like a good puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like solving puzzles, man. That's because when achieving a goal is like that's kind of what it's all about. Like, there's just some reward in just, getting to the finish line or solving a puzzle, and you could just be like, yeah, look what I did.
So you got that competitive edge. But you don't necessarily need to compete against another person. You can compete against yourself or against the field, or
Just a good challenge.
just a challenge. Yeah.
There's got to be challenges.
Yeah. I
If
like
everything was just streaming merrily down a stream, it's just like it would get so boring.
that. Where's the juice in that? Yeah.
There's no juice.
Yeah.
No one would be, everyone would be flowing down the stream at the same rate. And sure, there's good times in that. It's camaraderie building, but like, come on now. Achieving a hard task is just rewarding. And then, there is a competitive part to it, and winning, obviously winning is a great time. Who doesn't want to win? Let's just ask, a show of hands in the car, who wants to lose? No hands.
I was checking for the Ducks. Pretty sure their hands were all down.
Ducks don't have hands. They only want to win.
Well, that's true.
Nobody wants to lose. That's my go. But, if there's nothing to achieve, what's the point? So I love a good opportunity where, this is one of the more fun conversations I have, is when someone comes to me with a situation or an issue that involves an endless, or there's no finish line in sight of due diligence. Like, we have a water main leak under our building, supposedly. How much to fix it?
Talking about supposedly or allegedly?
Well, either. Allegedly. Allegedly. Someone comes to me and says, we got a water main leak under our facility.
Okay.
How much to fix it?
So this isn't like an active job right now.
This happens all the time with stuff like this.
I get really concerned there for a second. Okay, all right.
Whatever. It's like, hey, we got, out in the township parts of wherever, there appears to be some sewage backing up in this field. How much to fix it? It was like, well, listen, I don't know. I have no idea how much it's going to cost because I don't know what the actual issue is. We have to figure out what the problem is before I can give you a price to fix it. So the conversation gets real fun because it's like, well, we could figure it out in 30 minutes, or it could take us 5 days to figure out what the problem is. Hopefully it doesn't. I'm not saying it's going to take 5 days, but I don't know. We got to figure out what the actual source of the issue. Like a lot of times people are like, hey, we need some mold remediation. Like, okay, well, what is your definition of remediation? Just getting rid of all the black specks on the drywall and replacing it? Or do you want me to figure out why you're getting mold? Where's this mold comes from moisture. Why is this space or whatever room that you're dealing with have so much moisture issues? Where's the moisture coming from? Is it a lack of airflow or air exchange? Is it an uninsulated area that with a lack of conditioning of the air? Do you have water coming in somewhere that you don't know about? Like, it's like an endless puzzle. Like, we gotta figure that part out before I could tell you what the solution is and how much it's gonna cost to solve it.
So these are tons of great questions.
Yeah,
so,
that's my bread and butter. I love that stuff.
So I do a lot of Tony Robbins stuff. Tony Robbins says the quality of your life is the quality of your questions. So you're saying a lot of quality questions. Here's a question I have for you.
Yeah.
How do you balance out the depth of your questions? And to rephrase potentially, like, it's some of the questions go deep into the weeds, and some of them go surface level, like philosophical, like, and maybe it might make sense to do a case study. So I don't know if you remember, we had a job, started off as a small service ticket. We had a technician go out. Turns out there's a gas station, and their water service was from a well, and the pump in the well was not working correctly. And it was a very unique situation where I believe the person operating the gas station also lived on the property.
Yes, you're referencing a real life scenario we solved. Correct.
Yeah. So, like, that's one of those situations, like, we could go deep into the weeds of, like, what broke down and where and why. At the end of the day, I believe our technician resolved it.
It was far more convoluted than that, but yes, we did figure that one out.
Had dinner with the family. Everybody was happy.
Yeah.
And then, like, when we walked away, like, some of the details of that job, I still to this day, I'm not aware of. But, like,
do you want me to give it to you a little bit?
I don't know. That's kind of the question. Is, like, how do you balance out, like, going into the depths of the weeds, and also, like, just need to go big picture, just finish the job, get it done, make sure the customer's happy?
So there's two parts of this that I think we should talk about. One is the end result and having dinner with them.
I mean, that's always a win.
But the other part is the conversation we had to have with the client to understand, again, kind of like what I was talking about, was like, there's a stream of issues here, but we don't know the source of the stream yet. Like, there's issues flowing in here, but we got to go find where the issues are coming from.
And ironically, it's all water related. So the metaphor is making sense.
A lot of times, and a lot of clients are reluctant to take this route because they think they're just giving you an open checkbook. But again, when there's an unconclusive amount of due diligence that's required, you have to kind of operate on a not to exceed amount. Like, sure. You got to at least let me start with $300.
Yeah.
And I'll go on site for 4 or 5 hours and try to figure this out.
Yeah, like, we're going to try to get this done.
And if we can figure it out under $300, great. We'll charge you for whatever time it took us, and then I'll present you a proposal to actually solve the issue. This particular situation you're referring to was a convenience store that had a grandfathered in well that was either dinged, not to code, or not up to par, whatever the situation was. So the owner of the convenience store dug a new well for water. And supposedly the well digger that they had didn't do the new well to code. So the new well that they paid to have dug wasn't operable by the municipality. They couldn't use it. But the old well was still able to pump water or whatever, like, it was still functioning, but there was issues with it. And the convenience store ended up not having water, and like you said, the operator, not the owner, the operator of this convenience store also had a house on the property utilizing the same well, the same water source. So the convenience store and the house was on the same well, and the well was not working. So the store didn't have water, nor did the family in the house living there.
So nobody was happy.
No one was happy. They had no running water. So they weren't allowed to, they couldn't bathe, they couldn't cook food for themselves, and they weren't, by health department, weren't allowed to prepare food for commercial for the store. So they were losing revenue, and they were also stinking. They were getting a little smelly. They couldn't bathe.
I can't verify that, but I'll trust you.
I mean, that's the situation. I mean, what are you going to do without running water for 3 or 4 days? I mean, you could go to a hotel, I guess, but
like I said,
that's a temporary resolution.
Like I said, how do you balance out going into the weeds?
So we went out there. We figured out why the old well that they were still able to use that wasn't producing water, what the issue was. It was not what they told us it was. It was something completely different. And so we did a lot of plumbing work, rerouted water to their chlorination system to disinfect the water, and then the dechlorinator with a bunch of ball valves and this and that. And after probably 12 straight hours on site, the technician, one single technician, was able to restore clean water to the convenience store and to the house. And the operator of the store was so thrilled and ecstatic that he didn't let the technician leave, and he made him stay for family dinner. And they fed him. And it was great. The technician was happy. The store operator and the family that was living there were beyond happy. And it was a good story. It was a good outcome.
And it is. And I think this...
I'm lost in the weeds here, John.
I absolutely love it because deep down I'm a romantic. I think at heart, I love these things.
Yeah, it is a little romantic.
I do want to zero in a little bit. It's like, because I know a lot of people who will sell you the moon. It's like, hey, here's the moon. Would you like to buy 3/4 of the moon or 5/8 of the moon? Or you know what? Even for you, I'll sell you 64 30 seconds at the moon. And if you do the math, that's like 2 moons. It's like, that's not physically, like, people will sell you anything. But like, as you're describing the thing, it's like, you understand the weeds. It's like, I feel like you go a step beyond where, like, you have to balance out, like, you don't want to go too far in the weeds, but like, you want to understand the weeds at least. So that way you can have a reasonable conversation.
Yeah. Well,
which I think is commendable, and most people won't do. But like, what's your mentality on that? Does that come from your puzzle solving? Like, do you get?
It is part of that.
Do you get some gratification just by understanding?
It is part of that. Well, there's a lot of tough conversations in there, but that's part of the problem solving. Like, the individuals who were footing the bill were the property owners and the store owner. The affected people were the store operators.
Yeah.
So there's 2 parties involved there.
So that's 2 customers. Yep.
So there were almost 2 puzzles going on there at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the people that were living there were beyond fed up because they didn't have running water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the actual, owners of the store were also getting annoyed, but they were getting bothered because they were getting chirped at by the store operator that they don't have running water, and that it was the owner of the property's responsibility to figure it out. And they tried digging a new well, and that well digger kind of dropped the ball and didn't set them up with a properly functioning well that didn't pass the inspection or whatever.
So into quick timeout, like, it seems like he did not have the correct objective. Like, he was trying to solve a different puzzle. He was just going out there to dig a well. And it doesn't matter whether it works or doesn't work, or solves the problem or doesn't solve the problem. Like, he had a singular objective to dig a well, which basically did nothing. And by the time we got involved, I feel like it sounds like you had the correct objective. It's like, okay, we have to take care of the owner, this client, the operator, that client. It's 2 different clients. It's a complex puzzle, but there's a path here. We have to stay focused on that path. Like, that's a tricky thing to do. That I think that
there's a fine line there to walk, and
most people don't see that, is my guess. But like, that's the play. Like, that's the target.
Yeah.
Like, is to do that.
I mean, that's
You think that's natural? Like just to come out like you're born with that, or like you use that learned over time, or a little bit of both? Like for me, I feel like it's learned over time.
yeah.
Like I've had to learn.
Everything's a little bit of both. Everything's
That's
a little
fair.
bit of both.
That's fair.
Like
That's fair.
you gotta be born with the ability to see the peripherals,
Yeah.
but then also have the balance to walk the line.
Peripherals for me, that's point guard. I play basketball.
Yeah.
That's part of the help for me.
You gotta see all the moving parts. You gotta be able to zoom in and out, big picture,
Oh, absolutely.
and then zoom in to be like, this is the issue. Pinpoint the issue. Zoom back out. Who are the players involved?
Did sports help you out with that? How do you zoom in and out?
Oh yeah.
What's
Playing competitive sports is always puzzle solving.
Yeah.
Always.
You played a lot of different sports, right?
Played a lot of team sports, I think is big. Well, I also played a lot of individual sports, but I think team sports, being able to work with teams, and that's why I think a lot of ex-military are phenomenal in operational circumstances, because if you don't figure out how to work well with teams in a military environment, the result could be,
Yeah. It's life or death.
what do they call it? The greatest cost of all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of always boils down to like two things: leadership and communication.
Yeah.
You can have the best players on your team in the world. Like you see in baseball,
Oh yeah.
you see in baseball, there's franchises that are spending buku dollars on the best players, but they're lacking leadership and direction. And those players just don't know. They don't have the direction. They're not given. They're given a poor leader, and then the whole thing falls apart.
Yep.
But you reverse that. You can take a bunch of misfits and put the greatest leader in charge, and those guys will rally together,
Yeah.
learn how to pick each other up, learn how to communicate,
Yeah.
and deliver the best product that's out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It comes down to leadership and communication. Everything boils down to those two things.